using all the chemicals on their lawn that are going into my water system, and I have a well. So I think if we're going to talk about our community, we need to talk about all the different things, and that's not visible.
The board, by the way, has acted already to control some of the things that we're doing with the ground.
Great.
Yes. And we are aware of that problem, and that's a major concern. Unfortunately, you can't abrogate entirely the rights of the individual to have a beautiful lawn if that's what he wants.
And then there's case law.
Except if it's a fence.
There's case law that preempts certain activities.
Yep.
Strikes. I lost the case.
You lost the case.
That was a long
Well, Bill, I'd like to just say that as chairman of the environmental committee, I'd like to take what the RPC has done and perhaps I'd like to attract, I think you and I spoke about this once before, I'd like to attract bids on putting together an integrated woodland health plan, see how much something like that might cost. I'd like to define the objectives, and maybe Chuck could help me define the objectives of such a plan. We'll collect some bids, and I'll bring it before the board before early next year, before February, and we can discuss whether this is of interest to the board. Also, I'll find out about consultants and see who's available and talk with Chuck about how that would work with him. One of the things that RPC found in this study was that Rivenburg is actually it's been taken care of. That is, it found I'm sorry, the property that some of us call Rivenburg. It's the one that's northeast of Riverwoods Road near, what is it, Indian Trail. That property has been managed by the village to remove invasives, and from that point of view, it's actually in very nice shape. Right. And that might be a location to do a pilot program for resident education of how the woods can be taken care of and perhaps even preserved more than they are now. So I will take this into the committee, and before February, we'll bring forward some tangible suggestions.
By the way, I might like to add that there's a property on Jasmine, which is approximately 3 acres, that I walked with Chuck to see what was there, and there is a thriving woodland community with a bunch of little baby brand new, hickory trees coming up. It has never been fenced, and it's beautiful. And my property, which has never been fenced, and I will not say that the woods are the healthiest woods in the world, very frankly, the builder who built my house thought they were a place to put junk. And it's taken me a long time to get most of it out of there. But I do not fence. And the deer meander through, and I am not overbrowsed.
I just have a question. Just for you, really, more than anything else. Is the concept a regulatory concept or a voluntary concept?
This is an interesting thing. I think from an ecologist's point of view, they look at Ryerson, they look at Riverwoods, they see a single thing. They see a woodland environment. In fact, Chuck, on a private conversation, you said the same thing. It's a unitary thing. There are macroclimates and microclimates within it, but it's a single thing. But politically, the reality is it's divided up into however many, 400, 600 different political entities. I don't think there's any interest, I don't think there's any interest in telling people what they have to do with their property. I don't think there's any interest on the board, and there's no tradition of that in this village. But we know that there are some residents who are very interested in this. The difficulty is that woodland ecology is very complicated, and people, many of us, I came from Evanston. What do I know about woodland ecology? I know
it's wonderful in Evanston.
It is wonderful. We know how to mow the lawn, and we know how to put in a hedge. The woodland environment is a different thing. I think the village government can help people by providing the resources in the way that the village provided Chuck's help in looking at their properties and seeing what they could do with trees. I think the village can do that also with the overall ecology of the woodland for each property. And who knows, it might be that if the village provides some leadership and makes doing some of these things easier, so everybody doesn't have to become a scientist, it might be that more people would be interested in exploring this for their own property. Maybe they're frightened of it right now, intimidated by it because they don't know where to start. And we don't give them a whole lot of help. So maybe we could start doing that. But to answer your question, Mike, no, we will not coerce. I don't see that there's any interest in coercing people to do something other than what they want to do.
So as a follow-up to that, are you saying that the Riverwoods Preservation Council by itself as an organization cannot address, there's some impediment to their being able to address it village-wide, as opposed to having to have the assistance of the village government to address it? In other words, what is it that the village, what value added does the council see that the village will be able to give them in this whole process?
I think the Board of Trustees could demonstrate its conviction to implement the comprehensive village plan, which talks at length about the woodland environment. And I think it would be a second support for the woodland protection ordinance and show that we're really interested in helping residents preserve the woodland. The woodland protection ordinance was a way of trying to minimize the encroachment of construction and find that balance between allowing owners to use their property in a way that would allow them to build their homes, comfortable homes, but also recognize the unique woodland environment here. It was a compromise. I think by providing professional resources or providing a lightning rod, the village government could provide a lightning rod of focusing activities and making them available, it would show our conviction to the woodland protection ordinance as well. You know, the issue of who pays for what, I think we have to work that out. I'm not suggesting right away that the government is going to pay for everything and that residents will pay for nothing. I think that my experience in the village is that for people who are interested in working with their property, it's understanding what to do is the biggest hurdle. And I think village government can help them in that regard.
Why can't the council help them in that regard? That's what I'm missing. I feel like there's somewhat of a disconnect
The council
here.
or the RPC, what do you think?
The
Well,
RPC.
I'll tell you one of the things I see. I think that we can help with education in somewhat in the same way we have helped with in encouraging residents to do things that would be beneficial to the woodland, like through our buckthorn program, encouraging reforestation and having a program and encouraging that.
Which we've done.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If other programs like that that would fit into these recommendations, I'm saying we could have additional programs. And I do think, for example, I've been talking with Chuck about how we can, expand our buckthorn removal program, get more people to be aware of it, and make it accessible to people who, like, if you have a lot of buckthorn on your property, the cost might be pretty high. Chuck and I have talked about the possibility of maybe doing it in phases or something like that, but basically expanding on those things that we already have.
I would certainly entertain more than $1,000 to remove buckthorn. I mean, we've got a $1,000 cap on it right now, and